resources and protections. That's what it is, right? So don't mix me with that. They don't interact. They don't have a responsibility. They do. That's their responsibility. Like this thing is, we're paying taxes into this thing for our protections, brother. Right? We're part of this thing. All of us are part of this. If you want to lock out and demonize people and say they don't have the ability and they're gonna, no, we should hold our legislators accountable. We should hold our elected officials accountable.
We're gonna hold ourselves accountable first, kid.
We are, bro. What are you talking about, bro?
Oh, hold on.
I think you're
I am amazing. I am amazing.
I'm amazing.
I do think actually.
We did that already.
I do think. Hit my cash app. Show me how many. You're not listening. You're speaking to speak.
Cash app.
Hit my cash app. Hit my cash app.
That's it. If I hit your cash app.
100%. 100%.
Nah.
It's a capitalist country, kid. I'm a narcissist. Hold on. I want to go to Kitover for a second. Let me go. I already invited you to dinner, bro. I told you I'll come to Harlem.
I'm trying to understand the conversation, JB. What's the conversation?
Hold on. I'm glad you came off my king. Let me chop it up.
The cash app, bro. You know what?
Well, show me. So let me chop it.
Who talk like me, bro? Let me be narcissistic.
Listen,
bro. You know I'm bigger than the cash app, bro. I'll change your world, man. You know how they go.
Let me chop it up with King for a minute. Please, thank you. So, King, let me ask you a question, man. Are you happy? Happy in life?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you consider yourself successful? Because everybody has a different definition of success. Do you consider yourself successful?
Yeah.
What part of Donald Trump had anything to do with that?
And I've been such a big JK fan since I was 9.
Nothing.
I've been obsessed since I was 9. So like, it's just a total dream come true. Everything's worked out really well. With RK and HHS, and that was such a big given medical freedom. It all coming together. It was like super special for me.
And when you went to sign that contract with your brother, rest in peace.
Speaking of fate,
Was Donald Trump at that table?
somebody
Was
who
Joe Biden or
I
Kamala
hold near and
Harris?
dear to my heart just joined the stage. We got John.
The conversation.
Hey, what's up? Good afternoon, everybody.
Yo, John's running for Congress, you guys. He's running for Congress in Illinois. What district?
It should be
So, hold on.
designer and a supreme being who's
Turn that shit off. Turn that shit off.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you.
I'm trying, yeah. I'm running in the 16th Congressional District, which is like Central Illinois, Peoria, Rockford, Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, Quincy, Perkins, towns you've never heard of with 50,000, 60,000 people who absolutely know that their Congress and their Federal Reserve and their local and their state governments are utter, it's clown world. You know it, I know it. We all live in clown world. And the fact that people get rich off of government and people can't even start small businesses. I mean, everything in this country is upside down.
So I've done some consulting for his campaign so far. We did like an hour consultation last week. But I'm not officially a part of his campaign or anything like that. But I am, here saying that he's the man. Jennifer, she runs American Mission along with some of the people on stage, Destiny, Kim, Cheney, and they basically, American Mission are the people that you would want to befriend for a campaign like yours. So I'm happy to make the introduction. I'm glad that you're here. Just so you guys know, John did receive the Troll of the Year award 2 years in a row on Clubhouse. So he's a legend. He is a legend.
So John, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Like, why are you running?
I've started many businesses in my life, had some failures, had some successes. I've worked in government, I've worked in big tech for many years. And at this point, there's 200 trillion in unfunded liabilities, 40 trillion in funded liabilities at 100 billion a month in interest. So there's a big philosophical and communication perspective to the problem in government, and whether it's really a problem or we just perceive it as a problem. And so, really, my fields of interest are communication, meditation, and really wisdom, psychology, philosophy. So, there's a we live in clown world, and I have a military background. I'm a service academy cadet, and there's ways to do things, and there's ways not to do things. But either way, I mean, we're all on the same boat, and but I think good ideas and intelligence and wisdom, are like, it's the cream of the milk. It rises to the top. I mean, you're forced to do these things because A, it's a game, B, it's fun, and C, once you start interacting with actual politicians, you realize that they're not the highest form of citizen in this country. Many of them are criminals. They're liars. They're just actors, and that's not projection. I'm just telling you. I have witnessed clown world up close my whole life, and so to try to run for Congress and have people that endorse you and be enthusiastic and push you to do this because they like your personality. I mean, it's just it's like the stars aligning, and it's a lot of fun. So and I met Augustus in politics because of Kennedy.
What service academy did you go to?
I went to the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, very nice. I had friends who went to the Citadel. Well, nice to meet you. Glad you're here.
Hey, John, I had a quick question. So I clicked on the profile because I saw a little book. What is that on your profile picture? It says Mystical Secrets. Is that book significant, or I just wanted to see what that was about?
Yeah, I record books on YouTube, 60-second clips, 15-second clips. So I read from books that I have. I've got 10,000 books in my house, and that's Rumi, the Persian poet. So there's a mystical element to politics, to government, to Trump, to Kennedy, to destiny. So, I mean, the fact that Robert F. Kennedy is now our secretary, and he's a leader in the government, I mean, and the CIA has been fully exposed, and the Pentagon, and the military-industrial complex for killing JFK, this is, manifest destiny. I mean, course correction, yin and yang. So, we are all witnesses to a great course correction. And Robert F. Kennedy, through Augustus, and his beautiful fiancee or wife achieved something spectacular in terms of mass communication. And Augustus, has firsthand experience and implemented the strategy for essentially regime change. And, kudos and hats off to Augustus for being a patriot and a courageous artist and mass communication strategist.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate those kind words, man. Touches my heart. Thank you, bro. Brings a tear to my eye. You're the best.
So, what is your stance on, I guess you'd say, lobbying there, John? What do you think about lobbying? I think all lobbying needs to go. All lobbying. Foreign a bit, but that's just, we need to go back to, local campaign financing. But a lot of these politicians, coming up, whenever they get in bed, boy, it's like, they can't get away from it, and it controls them.
I see you, Coyote.
I'm just saying.
Kudos on asking the question the way you did, though. That was
He's getting slicker. He's getting slicker with
That
it.
was slick.
I'm one of the good guys, man. It's like, I can't help it. And I've changed my stance and all that. I tell all these people that go on this, let's fucking APAC and stuff, bro, it's not yeah, I get it. They need to go under FARA, yada, yada, yada. But it's all lobbying. It really is. It's all lobbying.
No, it is all lobbying, right? And what you're saying, right, the reason why I wanted to point out how you asked that question is because I think that is how that question needs to be asked, right? As much as people have a hard-on for certain places, right, it's not just one place. If we're allowing one place to do it, which means we're probably also allowing other places to do it, and we shouldn't be tolerating it from anyone. And I just wanted to give you kudos on how you asked that question, because that's how we move the conversation forward, not just singling people out.
Exactly. And it takes growing, I'll admit it. I was one of them. I got And you look at Baypack in my profile, you're gonna see it because it just I see the numbers or whatever, and it's polarized too, that conversation. But if you get down to it, like all this lobbying, big pharma, like Qatar, they do have some stuff. So like it just all these narratives need to kind of spin off into like an ultimate like what is wrong, all of it, right? Like all of lobbying is controls our Congress, it controls all these bills that are getting brought across, and it's very, very serious. And if we could get back to like a local campaign financing aspect in the local, we can hold the accountability more. So we got to push on that because I don't think that. I mean, look, JFK died. Part of the reason that he died was on this lobbying thing. Was because of he tried to register to the FAR and then the Federal Reserve. So this is dangerous territory right here.
I think we've got to offer some sort of like wipe the slate clean. Like as long as you didn't touch children, we can wipe the slate clean, and then you come forward and you help us clean this up. We've got to stop the blackmail that
right. The line in the sand is not touching children. Okay.
Right.
The line in the sand is selling your country out, selling your fellow man out. And of course, if you touch children, you should probably be hung by your balls in the middle of Times Square. So I'm just saying.
Yo, I just want to welcome Jacob to the stage. He's new. Nice to meet you, Jacob. If you don't mind giving me a follow, that'd be great. But it's a pleasure to have you. Hope you're doing well.
Jacob's a friend. He's a friend.
Appreciate you. I just wanted to say something towards what a little bit towards what I heard when it comes to our so-called enemies. It's going to take a lot of what we've seen in South Africa with the apartheid. A lot of people understanding that even those who are taking advantage of the system, who are benefiting from the system, are still victims of the system. And I know a lot of us who are the harsher victims, the real ones who are going through the shit that we're going through. We're not looking at it like that. But I like to think people are good, really. So people who are forced to do these horrendous things in order to, protect their families, feed their families, whatever, I think those are victims as well. And I think that's where that's where we probably could find the peace at. That's where we can, like, okay, this is what's wrong with this system. We all can agree with it. We're all victims. Let's start over, clean slate. Let's get this shit done. And I think it would be easy. And we've seen it in South Africa. It actually happened before. So I think we should take a page out of their book.
Well, I think that's what the Maha movement, right? Like that's one of the easiest paths back because you can be like, it's not your fault. You were poisoned. We've been had here. So I think that there's certain issues where we can bring that, put that path back to good for people.
I think it's and it's these uncomfortable discussions sometimes. It's like Trash had a space the other day. I'm gonna get to our two distant, but he had a space the other day, and I reached out to the FBA, and next thing you know, Patriot Savvy, Trash, like we had the FBA. Jacob was part. He came up there. I don't know if he was FBA or not, but like they spoke on things, and what we ultimately have is the same goals. We just got to get to them, and let's go, Miss Destiny.
Yeah, I was going to say, since we were still discussing child trafficking and everything a second ago, I got contacted by Nick Bryant this morning. He's the guy who wrote the book on the Franklin scandal, and he runs EpsteinJustice.com, which works with the survivors and helps the victims. Anyways, he had put out a call to action today. I reposted it. I'll put it in the purple pill if anyone would like to assist in this. It's just calling out Senator Gillibrand from New York to ask if they are going to continue on the commission to get justice for the Jeffrey Epstein victims. So I'll put that in the purple pill. I just want to make that a PSA because it is important.
Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so Jacob, I totally see where you're coming from, but I don't know if South Africa is the best example, especially right now, because I would actually argue that South Africa is in a reverse apartheid at the moment, where the roles have completely changed. And yes, we need to have a path back. Yes, there are people who are victims, right? But I also don't think that the majority of Americans realize how deep the rot actually is within the system, and to the extent to which people who we might look as innocent were totally complacent and participating in the system. And there are things you just can't come back from in society.
Oh no, it's going to break our hearts. It's going to break our hearts. It's going to break our society. And I think that's what we need. And just to answer Coyote's question, I'm not FBA by cult. I'm more. My people have came here from boats. One side of my family they come here from boats. They're Israelites though, so I don't really even like to be identified as black for I'm an Israelite. My family is from Dimona. I can track my Portuguese to, my West African to Portuguese to America journey like myself. So FBA is more of a cult. It's a psyop. It's a good psyop. It's one of the best psyops that America has done in a long time. And I'm super anti-psyop, man. I see through that bullshit so fast. But I just think for us, and when it comes to, and like you said, it is almost a reverse apartheid going on in South Africa. But that comes from the lack of self-accountability, and that's where and I say this shit all the time. American white men and American black men are the epitome of men because we can sit here and these conversations and build nations. I don't think those white guys in Africa or those black guys in Africa could have sat and made the conversation or had the conversation that needed to be had to avoid the things that they're going through. I just had faith in my country. You know what I'm saying? So I think eventually we will get to that conversation.
Well, Jacob, I think the vast majority, and I think what the problem is people don't understand the racial dynamic that is in South Africa, right? So where, yes, did apartheid end, in 94? Technically, right? But the white Afrikaans, which represents 10, 20% of the population, right? They are looked at as oppressors, right? So as in the just to give a United States example, right? So after slavery ended, right? All of a sudden whites and blacks are living together equally, but is the power dynamic ever really on an equal footing because they were always seen as the oppressors? And I think that's what the world isn't understanding right now, that it's not just, these, the black South Africans want farmland and they want this and they want that. They are seeing it as almost a vengeful act of what their forefathers went through under apartheid, under what they see as the oppressors.
But that is very true, and but they're only doing what they are watching their peers do. You have to understand that the Jews are highly involved, and I'm not like an anti-Semite or anything, but the Jews are highly involved with this new wave of African mixed with your boy Putin situation. It's so hard to describe. The African is and always will feel as if they have an oppressor, even though they are the majority over there. They can take back the resources if they need to. That's not the problem. The problem is the perception. So we can say that Africans' land was took or whatever happened back then, but whatever happened back then, and it shouldn't be focused on. What we need to be doing is sitting and having the conversations so that people are safely being wherever they want to be. If whites want to live with whites, I think that's okay. If blacks want to live with blacks, I think that's okay too. That's where I just think America has the advantage. I think we're becoming less politically correct. We're just saying what the fuck we need to say, and I think that will get us to where we're trying to get to.
Is it like that tribalism kind of talk that goes around? Everybody's got that. Is it okay to feel like you want to live in an all-white neighborhood? Is it okay to feel like you want to That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yes, bro. We've been doing this since before we knew what races were. Like when we didn't even call it that before it was a social construct. When the world was all one color, we still didn't want to. When the world was one color, we used to be like, yeah, their hair is brown. We want them over here. That's just human, and there's nothing wrong with it. But there is a group of people on this earth that want us to lose our ethnicities and our culture so that they can be, the only person on the planet with one.
Let's go, Rick. Yo, good morning or afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Helen out here from over in Australia. The one thing that we can't criticize, is APAC. And I think that's the beginning of our problems. Like, we have to understand that. And in Australia, we've got that, we've got an Israeli lobby, right? I've got so many things to say, but I'll begin and end with just a really short monologue in that.
Just say it, Rick. Ain't nobody gonna call you no anti-Semite up here. You're good.
No, I know that, bro. I mean, you guys are good over here. Thank fuck for that. But they want us divided by race, religion, creed, colour, gender. And the way that we're going to fix that, because the Kalugi plan's in full effect. So how do we fix that? We get along. And like what old mate was saying down there, like regardless of whether we want to be separatists, we can still live together. That's their idea to win. So Theodore Herzl, he was the one that laid down the plans for the Greater Israel project. He said that anti-Semitism would be the biggest ally for the Greater Israel project. Anti-Semitism, hate. So how do we combat that? With love and acceptance.
With love, with prayer, we start talking and having but kind of like what I did earlier, what Jennifer was saying. Look at the big picture. Look at all your lobbying. Try zooming out instead of just the Israeli, aspect of it, and look into the part. And I'm telling you that's true. But look at how much you're like other parts have to do with it. And I understand what you're saying. You got like 97% are APAC back down here. It's crazy to me. But look at RK, how he's gotten attacked by some of the stuff that he's went through, and that's fucking that's other kind of lobbying, bro. It's a bad deal. And I wanted to introduce Augustus real quick to Cultivating. She's kind of a big voice over, I don't know how to say it. I'm going to say Cultivating Black Twitter or whatever. So she's one of the leaders that kind of we could talk to as I guess you say a buffer. I'm like that white boy that used to run up in the hood and go get like a threefer real quick and then run back over there and get the buddy. How you doing, Cultivating?
She's from the south side of Twitter.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me again. When you invite me, I run. I'm a sprinter, so I'm like, boop, I'm right there. Nice to meet you. You guys.
Nice to meet you too. I hope you're having a blessed day.
Every day is a blessing.
She's from we from Ethiopia, right? But she don't claim. She's got some honestly based ass beliefs, but she just wants us to be able to talk to each other, and that's the whole thing about it. So I don't know. I go over there to listen to some of the other spaces sometimes, which it's interesting. It gets heated, but I don't know, man. We gotta get together to be able to build this GOP up or whatever. Something's got to give.
Can I ask Augustus a question?
Yeah, go for it, brother.
So in terms of communication and the importance of regime change and getting better decision makers, how do you think you played a pivotal role in U.S. political history?
Oh, man. To be honest with you, I try to stay humble about it and continue to just be myself and be unapologetically myself about it, because it kind of gives me goosebumps. It kind of brings me to tears when I think about the impact that we actually made, me and my wife, and on how many lives that were affected because of the work we've done. and it kind of brings me to my knees, you know? Because, bro, like some things in life, man, like, you do because you're motivated. You're motivated by this idea that you have for yourself. And it's a self-motivation. And we did this without self-motivation. We did this because we thought that we needed to stop putting our own will before God's will. And we were doing God's work. And we wanted to just be the executioner of God's will. And that's what we did. And it wasn't about, Augustus. It wasn't about Stephanie. It wasn't about RFK Jr. It was about something bigger than all of us. It was about changing the world. And it was because God wanted the world to get changed. And we just so happened to be his instruments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's interesting how, in the beginning was the Word created the world, the universe. So, in social audio is, the spoken word. So, if you know the truth of the earth, then you got the secret answer to the difficult question of the math. I mean, it's a word game, and that's really what we're all dealing with when it comes to these industrial complexes, which are draining, America and its citizens dry and giving nothing back to we the people. So, I mean, regime change is always now. In my opinion, I think Trump is doing an incredible job. I think Kennedy is doing it. I think everybody's doing the best work they can possibly do under difficult circumstances. And, but, the spending is out of control. And it's so much money. I mean, we just have to ask ourselves morally, is it right to be borrowing this money? I mean, or is it all just communication and debt forgiveness is the truth? I mean, are we getting ourselves all in a anxiety bubble about the debt? But we know that the way they spent the money for the past 4 years, 10 years, 20 years has been horrific. So taxpayers and citizens have to unite and rise up and say, never again. This is fucking clown world, and we reject clown world.
The WHO was a symbol of tyranny. The WHO was a non-government organization that had the ability to, in certain states, strip you from your home, inject you with experimental biological weapons, strip your children from your home.
Well, the UN, they control our border. So we've got all kinds of globalists going on. We've got the WHO, we've got the UN, you've got the International Bank of Settlements, which is like basically Operation Central. So.
Right. My point is like the work that we did in collaboration with President Trump, in collaboration with God, we're no longer a part of the WHO. The WHO is now going to have a competitor on the scene, which is a new World Health Organization that RFK Jr. is going to be creating with other governments around the world. He was just in Ecuador and Argentina with Javier Milei, and that's what they're talking about.
That's some good shit right there.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues.
That's what we did. We did that. Sorry, Coyote. I just wanted to say, one more thing, which is that these medical journals have been basically the reason why they've been able to get away with this tyranny. And they shall too be no more. It's been revealed just today that RFK Jr. slams corrupt major medical journals and reveals that HHS is creating their own new journals. Go ahead, yo.
So I wanted to ask us, Kim touched on something that I think is a big issue. It's like this whole, when we get on on X, we find ourselves trying to find out like the culprit, right? Like the culprit for all these problems. Is it the Jesuits? Is it the Jews? Is it China? Like when it could be, like she just said, like this kind of globalist thing or whatever. And you know, not gonna deny, a lot of things kind of lean more sides than one. But how do we get past that to be able to have conversations like we are right here and just kind of recognize that there are a lot of problems going on, but you know, we don't have to go at you know, like one specific, you know, it's hard to even ask the question, bro.
Yeah.
Like how do we pass trying to blame one thing or find one thing when it is many?
It comes down to the communication. Congress doesn't do meditation courses. They create fake money with the Federal Reserve. They don't care about you and I. It's the same George Carlin joke in 2025. They don't care about you. All they want to do is borrow and spend. And we are essentially, Chairman Powell has said we are on an unsustainable debt path, and he Freudian slipped and said we are in an unsustainable debt path. So Trump is going to spend the money. The Republicans are going to spend the money because big business wants the money. And like you said earlier, the other speaker, lobbying is the biggest issue. That money primarily goes to major industrial complex businesses. That's not American. That's essentially debt slavery for we the people, for grandchildren, etc. I mean, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if you take the oil out of the engine explodes. So no one truly knows the best central economy planning, etc. The point is, this is a monolithic empire, and Augustus and his wife regime changed the government. They saved America in a way through Kennedy and through their marketing and communication strategy. So we the people, these apps, Clown House, Clubhouse, X Spaces, other apps, being artistic and creative and subversive, but organizing, but really changing people's psychology about, I guess, optimism, about intelligence, but also really the money. If Kamala and Waltz were still, were the president, they would have. Do you know how much money they would have wasted on the dumbest shit in the world? All this DEI internal education scam. It's all communication industry. So, I mean, we the people need houses. We the people don't want to pay 40-50% in taxes. We want to pay 10% tax on income. The system is draining us. It's exhausting. It's a rat race, and we do it to ourselves because we're not greedy enough.
All roads lead back to Congress. All roads lead back to Congress.
100%.
That's why I encourage people like John to run for Congress. That's why I encourage people like Rob Lucero to run for Congress. People like John Kitover.
I want Jen to run for Congress.
Rich Costado, Jennifer Lawrence should run for Congress. Coyote should run for Congress. Mike Mack should run for Congress. I mean, these are the people, the everyday people that are needed more now than ever. More now than ever.
You will work 60% of your life just to pay taxes and retain nothing. That's debt slavery. We were born into debt in this nation. Other people in other countries are born into a surplus, into a national trust fund. We, the people here in America, are born $100,000 to $600,000 in debt automatically at birth. We have essentially ruined ourselves with illicit spending. Morally, fiscally unresponsible spending. You and I don't do that. We pay our bills. We save our money. This government has sold us out. And regime change and more regime change and perpetual regime change is the only solution to essentially saving ourselves from ourselves. We ship this money overseas and we ship it internally to corporations which are destroying us and the planet. Pfizer, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Google, Facebook, these corporations are essentially destroying the liberty and the republic of America.
So how do we get past it? Because you mentioned, Augustus, like Coyote should run for. So I wouldn't take any lobbyist money, right? I'm just a podunk-ass white boy over here in Texas, strolling around. So what am I going to do when I got 2 pennies in a pocket full of rent? How am I going to get past the big machine of all this or whatever? Is everybody going to come to my aid or?
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. You run a grassroots program. You run a grassroots fundraising program. That's exactly what RFK Jr. did when he was running for president. And he ran for president and raised millions and millions and millions of dollars, bro. All off of a grassroots program. You don't need to, and bro, you got a huge platform. I mean, look at you. You got 40,000 fucking people that want to listen to what you have to say. 40,000.
Any American can file to run for Congress in 15 minutes at fec.gov. All you got to do is spend 20 minutes inputting your information, and boom, you're in the National Registrar to run for Congress. You need to doge your local Republican and Democrat congressman, and the time to file is now. Go to fec.gov and doge your local congressman. Remove, replace, and do not trust these congresspeople. They are frauds, scammers, and debt creators. $18 trillion in debt in 10 years. These people have no legacy. They have to be removed from government. And people here on X, ordinary people, can run a campaign very succinctly, quickly, synergistically, synchronicity. That's the word. I'm telling you, remove and do not trust your local congresspeople. Doge them. Remove them.
I'm just going to point out to John there, up here in Canada, things are not much different. I have, like I said before, friends north and south of the border here. I have divers who work with me in Florida. They pay $6 for the same steaks from Alberta, Canada, that I pay $27 for. We're getting fucked by, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, by whatever lobbyists and whatever big concerns that there are. And I won't point out any names because up here in Canada, we're not as free as you guys are out there to say names. But we're all in the same boat. I'm telling you, it is miserable up here to try to exist. It's miserable to think that my children will never be able to afford a home. It's never going to happen unless I pay for that home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's generational at this point. I mean, I'm 42. I can't believe I even made it to 42. I know, lots of people that died in Iraq and Afghanistan that never made it into their mid-20s. And so, you're lucky if you're alive. And right now is always the moment. And it's not too late. If you live in a state in America and you are a citizen, you can run for Congress. Do it. It takes 15 minutes. FEC.gov. Create a campaign on X. That's the best place to start. You know it. I know it. This is a free speech zone. And you know that these vaccines and COVID-19 disaster they unleashed upon us, directed by Fauci, Gates, Pfizer, Moderna, J&J, forced mandates, free vaxes, like it's a candy shop. They destroyed the fertility rate. Babies aren't being born. People got the clot shot and died. Do you know how many people died in December of 2020, around Thanksgiving, Christmas in this country and around the world? It wasn't the COVID-19 virus. It was the vaccines, the injections. Pfizer, Moderna, J&J patented copyrights to kill you, to blow your heart out of the fucking chest, to prematurely end your life. For what? For communication spam, for propaganda. You know it, and I know it. We've been lied to, abused, and ripped off because they borrowed the money on our behalf to even manufacture all these fucking scam vaccines. So the time to resist is now. File for Congress, doge your local Democrat or Republican. Do not trust, remove and replace your local congressman, and do it yourself. No one else is going to do it. No one challenges these people, and it only takes you 20 minutes to file at fec.gov.
So, this is why it's so important for you to take my advice, John, about making one account and sticking to it. Because you come in with this sort of energy into a space like mine or an American Mission space, and you start speaking a lot of truth like that, that's how you're going to be able to gain a substantial amount of audience for your single account. But when you got 10 different accounts, it's going to be hard because now we're going to have to pick one because then it all gets spread out too thin. So I encourage everybody to follow John, Republican-wise, and I encourage you, John, to stick with this Republican-wise account and do some more work to it that basically we've already discussed in the back channel. But yeah, man, for me personally, I'm not running for Congress. I'm not running for Senate.
My job is to be in the background and be the support system and the muscle behind people running their campaigns, being the brain power, being the spirit power, being the one that, you know, comes up with the creative power in order to get the communication across properly. So thank you for your encouragement, John. Thank you for your love. I appreciate you. You're a dear friend. With that all being said, I want to welcome Maze to the stage. What's up, Maze Love? I hope you're doing well tonight. And we've got Indy on stage as well with their hand raised. Indy and then One Tribe. Go in that order.
Hey, what's up, everybody? See a lot of familiar faces here. Coyote, Mike, Maze, Destiny, Jennifer. Know some of you guys better than others, but yeah, interesting. All you guys are in this space. Yeah, I agree with, you know, the vast majority of the sentiment that everybody's talking about. You know, just the national debt, being lied to, they're going to spend, all that's 100%. So ideologically, I'm with you guys. The difference is that you know, as an independent, the reason I'm an independent is because I hate the two-party system, because I don't hate, you know, right now I'm like a pro-Trump, you know, populist, because I hated Republicans before Trump came in, you know, the uniparty guys with Bush and Clinton and the globalists and blah, blah, blah. So, but the control that they have over our government it's extreme. And, you know, to sit there and say, like, it's so Pollyanna to think that some general person can run for Congress and have any impact. They control everybody in Congress. They have all the money. They have all the lobbyists. They have everybody. Do you think there's one Republican, one Democrat who thinks all those things, that all those logical, make sense items and line items in the big beautiful bill make sense? Taxes on tips, all those things that help workers? Of course there are. There's many Democrats who think that way. They wouldn't dare vote for that thing, because they get primaries so fast. You think Republicans are calling for primaries? Democrats have been doing this crap for decades, and you know they're way more like aligned and organized, and Pelosi's been the master of it. There's a lot of technical reasons for it. You know, in the book, The Politics Industry explains most of the evolution of how this happened. But my point is that, you know, until we would love change ideologically. We get on these spaces, we get in private meeting, you know, with our friends and families or whoever, whatever, and have debates or agreements. But until the nature of our political system changes, and there are ways to change it, I'm not going to proselytize that here, but until that changes, we are fucked. These guys will continue to run this thing unabashed, without anybody interfering, and we have no say in the matter.
I want to put it back on you a little bit. I think that by doing what John is talking about, by having good people, just your ordinary people, get in the race. You may not win in 2 years, but you may win in 4. And the more like common sense, you know, good American people that we get running in for Congress, the more options the American people have to vote on, the more that we educate on civics, okay? I think that we could do this. I mean, we could overturn that whole damn house if we wanted to. And now is the best time that we've ever had a shot at it is in this next couple of elections.
Who do you think elects over 90% of our Congress people every 2 years? And it's a rhetorical question. It's the extremes on both sides. And the extremes because less than 10% of the population. You know how many people voted AOC? You know how many people voted AOC into office in 2018?
But now is the time for the change, right now?
No, I agree with you, but my point is this. I agree with you. Like, I agree with you on the premise.
I get this.
Can you hear Augustus?
I get this behind your point, which is just that, you know, only 26% of Americans are registered Republican. 24% are registered Democrat. 51% of Americans are registered independent. And those are the statistics behind the claims that you're making.
And only
well, that's not it though. My biggest point is that the register because that stuff's out in the front. My biggest point that I'm trying to make here is that not over 90% of our Congress people who are up for every election every 2 years are voted in the primary because over 90% of our districts are either majorly blue or majorly red. So the primary is where they get voted in.
Well,
whoever wins the primary and
that's why I said something about civics, right? I said we need to educate on civics because if we make this interesting and fun, like as interesting as freaking Real Housewives or any of these other reality shows, okay, and get people engaged, and I don't care if we have to shame them into it. Like, do you want a stranger making the decisions for you? Are we not a self-governed people? People don't know that. They don't know these basic things. So that's where the education comes in. And again, never has there been a more innovative, more, ripe for change than now. Like we are seeing leadership get in there and just, upend it. They are upending the table, right? And we as people don't just need to sit back and watch this. We need to be like, okay, yeah, we're going to support you, from do everything we can. We can do it. We just have to freaking.
The communication technology has upgraded and updated. I mean, the belief is that all communication is hypnosis and spam or political and propaganda. I mean, listen to my words closely right now. Click my profile, follow me, add me on Instagram. I mean, creating a parallel society on an app like this is essential to regime changing the real world. And the former speaker, there's a communication network, and when you upload into that, you change the entire network. So the point is, if you can improve yourself, you can improve the world. And using an app like this to synergistically and through synchronicity, you can and will regime change. Augustus is living proof. This man helped regime change the U.S. government and save America from Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
I'm agreeing with the premise, and I'm agreeing with everything you guys are all saying. All I'm suggesting is that the method, the system with which the people that are elected officials, particularly Congress, are, the House is elected. They answer to less than 10% of their population. So you guys, say roughly 25%, whatever, just around it, is one party or the other, and the other half are independent. So most of the primaries in this country are not open primaries. So only the people voting, only Republicans or Democrats are voting for those people in a heavily Democrat or Republican arena. And then 20-30% maybe of the people vote. That's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% if you're lucky. And those who votes in the primaries, the hardest core of the hardest core. Who controls the hardest core of the hardest core?
I know, but you're describing the opposite of Trump and Kennedy and the situation now. So what you're actually saying is totally nullified in the present situation. How do you explain that?
I'm talking about districts, okay? I'm not talking about the presidential elections. I'm talking about the elections at which primaries establish the winners of congressional votes.
Well, Indy, I'm an independent, but I'm a registered Republican because I live in a closed primary state. Now, I'm fully confident in my independence, right? But I can go ahead and put that R in front of my name so that I can vote and I can have a say in the primaries. And again, people need to understand that we can have a 3-party system. We're just not going to tell the other 2 parties about the 3rd party.
All right, so real quick. I just wanted to get to let one tribe go real quick before we get too deep off into this. Go ahead, one tribe.
Hey, appreciate the mic. You've gone a couple of different directions in the conversation, so I'll try and succinctly give you some bullet points. First of all, I am a Central Committee member in the Republican Party in Ohio. Have been for quite a while. Went to the RNC. It was held in Cleveland in 2016. Got to see Trump on stage, and it was fabulous. and he won. And then you fast forward to 2020. It's an objective truth that election was stolen, that election was fraudulent. There is absolutely no way Joe Biden got 20 million more votes than Kamala Harris just did. And being in the party, in the meetings, talking to other Central Committee members, and just ordinary people, everybody's like, if the president of planet Earth's greatest superpower can be rigged and can be fraudulent, how are we supposed to trust anything? Even just the most recent budget. Some cuts. You know that you're rigging out. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, there you are. It took California 2 months to count votes. You know they're trying to gain another House or Senate seat.
They're normalizing it. That's all they were doing. The whole stall thing they did, they need to take all that bullshit ass time to do all that. We all know that they're just making an announcement where they can refer back. Remember what happened in California? Whenever they take 3-4 days the next time.
Well, I mean, again, we're gonna see investigation. Like we're starting to see investigations on the 2020 election, right? And things are starting to move.
Right. Okay. 5 years since. 4 years since. So, but that there is a significant loss of confidence in the electoral process. So, and I appreciate John. I've heard some Republican.
Yeah, I mean, an election is an election.
Listen, man, I appreciate the energy, and it's infectious, and I love it absolutely.
It's 15 minutes to register to challenge these people. These people go unchallenged year after year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's not just running for election. Like you act like you announce your candidacy and you don't have to run in the rat race, which is the primary process, right?
It's a lot of work, no doubt.
Elected office.
It's a lot of work. You've got to be smart enough to essentially run a budget-free campaign, and X platform allows us to do that. This app opened up the floodgates of information.
How many campaigns do you run?
This is only my second campaign, but you know it and I know it, that X transformed our government, transformed our society. The truth is out there.
I agree with you there, but just telling people, go ahead and register to...
Listen, I'm trying to transmit sentiment. I'm trying to spam. I'm trying to communicate the fact that these people... They kicked me from the stage.
Stunning man up here. Beautiful. I don't know what else you could. I need to put my real face up there one day. But you can go look at my real face that I am a real man. I'm not a coyote. And everybody on the panel that you resonate with, go down to the little purple pill, push that thing, and go up, push repost. If you've already reposted it, undo repost, and repost again. And don't forget to follow my future ex-baby mama, Destiny. Everybody, narrative sees you. I'm going to narrative see Destiny. Real Mama Destiny.
Yo, bro, you are a trip. That is too fun.
I thought maybe it's good job on the propaganda. That's the thing about it. We do live in a time, this fucking psychological information, informative kind of thing, and you do got to go with the people. I trust 100%. Race from Alaska up there. I know you guys. I know Cameron. I know this. I know August. I know Mike. And that's the thing, man. We got to be real careful out here. Real careful. I know John. I know he's great. He's trying for Congress. This is his only second time. I'm trying to give him best advice I can.
politicians are getting money from big pharma, and that's the biggest problem. They're getting big money from big tech, big money from big war. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. It's how are you going to, combat, raise more money than those people without taking big money from people? And that was your question earlier, Yodi. Like, and there's a formula to it, but it all revolves around a grassroots organization and mobilization effort. Jen, just chime in. You know, raise your hand.
No, guys, listen. Honestly, it really isn't a problem of like good people not wanting to step up and run, right? I meet people all day, every day who would love to run for Congress, right? And you might, like, I hate the system that you have to participate in order to get elected. I hate it, right? But just to be like, oh, well, all you need to do is run. All you need to do is this. Hold up a second, bro. Because, like, how do you, Augustus, perfect example, money, right? Then you have to deal with the GOP and whether you're going to, need their money or not. Because if you have a good grassroots campaign, you don't need the GOP money. But if you need the GOP money, and in some districts you do, right? Like, to just act like the whole problem is that no one wants to run. No, it's the actual process in which you have to go through to be elected that's dirty, scummy, freaking bribery, right? And by the time you get to the general election, right? Because if you're a good America First candidate, the GOP, who say they don't participate in primary elections, which is absolute bullshit, will come in and secretly spend money against you in the primary. And then if somehow you get through, then they're going to go and spend money with the Democrats against your campaign in the general and act like, oh, he's just a terrible candidate. Like, no, bro. Right? So it is way more than having the balls to run for Congress, right? It's having the balls to go up against some of the most powerful people in this country, because depending on what, like, congressional seat you're running for, you're going to have the Mitch McConnells coming in and spending money. And that motherfucker, he threatens to kill people, okay? So if you really, let's lay our cards on the table, you have to prepare the people who are brave enough to stand up and run for the actual environment in which they're going to have to, be successful in, which is totally antithetical to what you would think being successful is.
And now we're gonna try to, when we do run candidates, we're gonna stick with them. We're not gonna just turn them loose in DC for the cocaine and hooker parties. We're trying something different this time.
Well, not only that,
I just wanted to say, go ahead. Look, y'all, honestly, I cut for rant 100%. I know this dude offline and everything. He's a fuck.
We don't want you to speak up in public comment or testimony. So, I wanted to hit on this. Well, even if we push an American First candidate, right, they have to understand what the process is once they get into office to actually officially make a change, okay? Like, you can't just say, I'm going to go fix shit. If you don't know what you're going to actually go fix, you don't know how to write bills, you don't know how to write subject matter line, you don't know how to make amendments, you're not going to do anything. You're going to sit up in there and you're going to look like a dumbass in front of all these people that got paid to get put there, that know how the game is played. They're going to be playing chess while you're still trying to read the checkers board, And I see this all the time when you look at, especially in Alaska, and you just take our state and local representation, most of them are teachers and the rest are lawyers, right? And if you look at who the ones that are running the PACs inside of there, all the people that are teachers or the independent people that don't have a background or something in bill writing, they're just there to co-sign and just submit shit. They're not there to actually make a change because they don't even know how to make a change, right? They don't actually get the bills. They don't write our representation, our senators, our
Rance, you've been to a restaurant, right? You know how a bill works at a restaurant? You think it's any different? You haven't heard of grok? I mean, it's all a scam.
I've been doing this for decades, all right? 100% is a complete difference. Then you try to say, all right, I just want to make a difference. If you don't know economics, energy, education, right? Like, like, real talk, what the fuck are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, what are your plans specifically in a policy format that would make a change that you want? Right? That's what I'm asking, right? So if you want to come at me like you want to be the next senator or congressman or representative and shit, this is what I ask the same people that run. I go ask
Rants,
people,
it's all communication is hypnosis, and you're just ranting.
You're being obnoxious. Can you stop?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, and I wanna just point out real quick.
Back up, just chill, bro. Like, we like, people like your energy, but you don't gotta cut people off, bro, and like yell at them and stuff. All right, just chill.
At minimum, I'm just giving you advice, bro. At minimum, I'm just giving you advice. Because I'm never going to run for office, but I'm going to do what Augusta does. I'm going to sit in the background and people that are intelligent and smart and are capable of handling this fight and playing the game. I'm going to help be there to support them. One, they don't know everything. So you have to help them by being a public servant, by just giving information to your elected officials. If you don't send them stuff, expect that they don't know about it and have never been informed about it. All right? Don't think that they just know stuff and people are just telling them this information. You have to actually get out and hand this information to them so they physically know it. Whether they read it or not, that's another thing. And I'm gonna let Jennifer go. I'm gonna land my plane there.
Thanks, Rance. Appreciate you. Guys, and not all congressional seats, I know Cheney's laughing right now, not all congressional seats are created equal. Okay, if you look at the vast majority of Congress people who you would actually know if they were walking down the street, it's actually minuscule. Okay, there are so many Congress people who will fade into the background, who we will never know their names, they never passed a bill, they never got anything accomplished, yet we are still trying to expand resources into these places where if we just change our approach to things and actually put resources on the congressional seats that make a difference while in Congress, right? And instead of having people call like a Paul Gosar or an Andy Biggs or one of those who we know will never vote against us, they are staunch conservatives, take those people who we're going to call those offices and let's have them call the people who are actually on the committee, who are actually making the decisions, because right now we are giving these people way too much we're being way too lenient on them, and we're acting like they're all created equal, and they're not.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this shit does cost a fortune, if you want to do it right. And it will also take a tremendous amount of effort of people's free time and energy. So I highly suggest two things. Here's some tips. When you're doing creatives, I gave you this advice the other day, John, but when you're working on creatives and you have a creative team, let's say running an attack ad, right? Because your attacking is going to need to be on point, by the way. If you're running one of these races, because you will be attacked, and it's very rare will you run a campaign where there are no attack ads. So making your opponent a black and white photograph. Did I cut out?
What I heard was black and white photograph. I always assume it's me.
No.
That's not me. That's not in here. Is it him?
No. He's in the Matrix or his phone cut off, but yeah, I always swipe left when I see a girl with a black and white photo.
I wouldn't add that to your campaign slogan if I were you.
Are we about to crash?
I hope so.
Listen, I wanted to say what the former Jennifer, what you were saying about what Republicans do to Republicans when they run, you were spot on.
Real quick, can I just finish my thought though? So, sorry, my wife called me. She's on her way home, so I'm gonna have to log off in a little bit anyway. But while I got you here, here's some advice. Making your opponent have a shade of yellow or green gives them the idea that they're sickly. Okay, so when you're running an attack ad, days for when you are ready to make your announcement that you've already got some stuff in the chamber ready to rock and roll. And
can I ask you a question on that? On those two? Yes, I'm going to ask you expertise.
yeah, go ahead, ask a question, because I'm trying to, I didn't plan on giving a bunch of advice away, but I'm happy to do it. You know, I'm just trying to think of stuff on the fly.
That's what I'm saying. So up in the jumbo, okay, if you look, I quote reposted after I did, did exactly what you did. You can see that Trans Visibility Day, the original post put out by the Lufkin lawyer, which he kind of crawfished. If you go look at his page, it's a crazy little story going on there. And it's like a little battle. But I looked up the Trans Visibility Day, and it's on the 31st of March, 2026 is what's scheduled. And then the We're Done is on the June 4th. And I'm not promoting, or June 14th, excuse me. And I'm not promoting, I'm backing, I'm going to the rally, but that's not what I'm doing. I want to spew propaganda. Otherwise, I do it a lot better than this. But anyway, I'd like to know, what about the pink? You see how they did it, like with the pink, and then they collaborated in an alliance with We're Done, but that is actually not happening. There is no Trans Visibility Day on the same day as June 14th, but what they do is they shoot it out to a bunch of accounts like me, thinking I'm going to catch that shit and just go up there and post it. Like, what the fuck? But no, I communicate with the person of it. But why do they use the
Wait, Coyote, who's running this?
Aaron Sorrells?
Interesting.
I looked into it. He ran for a lieutenant governor, a while back, and he's very. My thing of it is, is Rand still up here? Yeah, he could kind of describe it better. I like what he's doing. I back that it needs to happen because we need to get over this whole being scared to run for something. But I've never seen anything like this, come against even me. Like, I got little fake Texas accounts like coming at me, so I know something's wrong, and it doesn't want that rally to happen, which, that's their right. So I'm kind of in a I don't know, man. It's just this shit's weird. Politics is nasty.
Yup. What was your question?
So that pink, how they did the whole pink thing. Notice the coloring, because I know that like if you look at Mike Mack, who the fuck couldn't like Mike Mack with that blue and the little red USA look? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's naturally to the optics that attracts the eyes. It's a positivity too. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, what do you think about that? Like that pink? Is it like bring a feminine aspect?
Well, what it is that you have to understand the trans movement is a mentally ill conglomerate. It's a part of a mind virus. So in nature, what happens is nature finds its way of using bright neon type colors like a bright pink as a way of letting predators know that they're poisonous. You can see it in the Amazon with frogs, poisonous frogs, tree frogs and shit.
It's toxic communication. They're all over social media. Men dressed as women, talking to children, going to libraries, dancing and reading pornography. It's a sick communication, and it should be outlawed and shunned.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, subconsciously, that's what their branding is doing. So it's alerting you that they are virtue signaling that they are toxic, poisonous, mentally ill group. That was a great question, though. Thanks for that, Coyote.
Well, I'd love to get with you on that because it's like, looking at some of the things that I've looked into, I had to learn the damn Hasbro, these things that are written in books of propaganda, and I'm not going to the subject like human shield, right to defend us. Everybody has a right to defend. Like all these crazy things that a man named Frank Waltz, which is a conservative political strategist, went and did
for, and it gets deeper and deeper. But the whole thing is researching a lot of these things that we hear that have been embedded in our heads. Like I say half the shit, and then I start reading into a lot of these propaganda things because that's what I dive into is these to the rhetoric. It's crazy because like I was taught this by my parents. They were taught that by so my grandparents are teaching, down this or whatever, and then ultimately dying with this old propaganda style strategies that we hear on here. But the optics are very, very important, Augustus, and I think that continue to point this stuff out.
Yeah, you definitely do. And, I'm happy to host a space in the future where I can do some homework prior to and consult with my team and get like a nice outline for advice on how to run a campaign and on a local level, and maybe I could collaborate with American Mission, Jen, on that.
I got you, Augustus. Dustin and I have ran like a whole shit ton of campaigns, all from local level all the way up to presidential. So we're good. I got you.
And maybe me and Mike can space. I think my wife just called me. She said, "Hey, babe, what are you doing?" And I told her what we were doing. I was giving advice on the X space. She was like, "Oh, that's really cool. All right, let me get off the phone. You go back to doing that." So
Your wife's awesome, bro. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's my best bud. She's my best bud.
I would like to get in with y'all, even if it's the American. Maybe me and Mike can go, talk and see what we could do too. But we need to do this because people need to know that. Like you can, you can win the hearts and souls and minds over. And if I was a bad guy with nefarious actions, like one thing is like you can tell Jennifer how beautiful she is. If you look at Jennifer's like, she's just beautiful. And who doesn't like her? She's outspoken with a great, no filter, raw, gives it to you right there. So did I win her heart over? And that's what people are doing to other people. Now I really do think this about Jennifer. But I'm saying, people, be careful whenever you hear people get on here. And a lot of the thing is telling you what you want to hear. Now, the thing is, it's like you got to stick around enough to know and get the game because, as Heather up here the other day kind of learned, like, this shit gets real and it gets raw and it gets real deep. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, and guys, listen. Even if you could be wrong, right? Even that's a learning experience. But use your voice. Always be brave enough to be wrong. Always be brave enough to be the only person standing out there because, yeah, it might be scary, but at the end of the day, really all they can say is words to you. And you have a block button. But if you're standing on the truth and you're standing for what's right, you should stand on that no matter what. No matter what's happening to you, take what you have to take, right? All they can say to you is words. And if they're threatening your life, report their asses to the police. Let's do this.
That's the thing, man. I mean, if Augustus knows, I've been called every name. He's been called all this shit. It doesn't even bother me to say because that's the thing. It's crazy, bro. But like, look at us. Like, we're still in the same. We don't have the same all the way views as everybody on this panel and shit like that. But ultimately, we know that when it comes down to it, that we want America to benefit the most. So that's all that matters to me at the end of the day.
You know what's so crazy to me? I was in Target the other day talking to my wife about this, but it's like on X, you got this Republican space, free thinker space, independent space, and the Democrats really don't bother us. You don't have like Dems coming in here and like trolling the room and shit like that, and like libs fucking wigging out on stage and being libtarded, right? They're fucking all keeping to themselves. But you go into a UFO space, bro, and you're a fucking based motherfucker, and bro, the fangs come out, dude. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck, like? And she's like, yeah, they're like basically like trying to control that community. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so a lot of times, right, sometimes it's pointless, right, to sit in a room where everybody agrees with you, to sit and talk to the people who, no matter what, right, they're always going to be on the right side, right? And I think so many times, like us on this side, right, we go into these spaces and we're like, oh no, we just have to like blatantly say what we want to say. We need to convert them, and if they just hear it, dude, you're not going to get anywhere with that right now, right? You have to go in, right? Read your audience, right? And introduce topics in a way, right? I know that you're not going to agree with me on abortion. I know that you're going to disagree with me on all these various different issues, right? But I know that we could have some common ground with, like, say, campaign finance, right? Do we really want all this dark money running our campaigns? Do we really want to make our people who are running for office on both sides sell their soul in order to survive? No, we don't. Right? So instead of like concentrating on the issues that divide us, right, just leave those alone for right now. Not saying you have to compromise on your values, right? I never compromise my values, but I don't even touch those topics. Right? I want to talk to these people, create a rapport with them, and then if we want to have that discussion, let's have it. But if there's topics, right, that we can agree on, why are we not trying to agree rather than beat somebody over? Sorry guys, I gotta go. I have a call.
Alright, yeah.
Alright, thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, I just want to welcome my friend Dr. Lori to the stage. She's one of the only doctors I trust. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Lori. How you doing?
Thank you, Augustus. Thank you very much for having me up. I sent you a message. I guess you didn't get it in time. I was down in your area over the weekend, so I wondered it.
You know, he's a married man.
I don't mean like that. It's just like that.
Coyote, it's okay. It's okay. She's a doctor. Yeah. No, I didn't get the message. I actually just moved to DC.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, that's even better. Well, congratulations on your move.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was there for a weekend-long Metallica concert in Philly, so.
Oh, that's dope.
Oh, it was so dope. It was amazing. Probably one of the best concerts I've ever gone to, so.
Sick.
But thanks for having me up. I appreciate it. Nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
no problem. Yeah, for sure. Enjoy the space, chime in whenever you see fit. We're just talking about campaigning right now. I think it's a productive conversation. Mike Mack, how are you feeling about the conversation? You think it's been productive, or has it just been a shit show, or what?
Yeah, no, I think it has been. It's like Jen said. You don't want everybody agreeing with with each other, but you also don't want people to come in and infiltrate your space and kind of take over and dominate, stuff like that. So I think it's been a great back and forth, bro.
That's the important part, if I may, Augustus, right there, because if you get, Augustus gets a host, and then you get a co-host that can vet pretty good and see who's coming up, familiar with it. Yeah, you got to take care of it. You got to be real careful.
Yeah,
that's why. Am I Rogan?
Shit crashed.
They came up, you gotta look at them. I keyword search. I'm a hell of a co-host, honestly. I can fucking, when they hit that, if I haven't seen them before, boom, I can pretty much tell you who they are, what they're about in about 10 seconds, and I'm pretty right all the time. Not all the time, but like 90, not 95%, but that 5% I'm wrong. And then I'm humble. That's the thing too. We're not humble enough. There's not enough humility on this app to say, hey, I was wrong. It's not like the end of the world if you're, but something about this app, all these little avatars, it's like, we don't want them getting mad at us, I don't want Mike Mack's little blue avatar to get mad at me. It's crazy, bro. It's like people got to talk more and just have a little humility and we'll be good. But thank you so much for this right here. And if I'd like to ask Mike Mack, welcome to the Thunderdome, bro. And that's the thing, we gotta have to navigate through this or whatever. But you're one of the good guys. Mike Mack is definitely one of the good guys. And we'll figure it out because this is what it is, baby.
Believe it. It's all about to start up.
Yo, guys, my wife just got home. I think I might log off unless you want to hang out with them.
Nope, they get in the booth. You should get in the booth. I mean, I work all day. I'm tired.
Say what's up to everybody, though.
Okay, that was pretty cool. Okay, this has been the campaign to let Jen Kitover. Hope you enjoyed.
On the other hand, when you're talking about Syria and the jihadis, first of all, in
Simon
Iran,
can't kick.
when our prophet was asked what is the best type of jihad, his response was the jihad against one's self, one's bad self. So jihad in its religious sense is meaning oppressing that animalistic feeling that we have inside of ourselves and control ourselves. Unfortunately, through politics and through all this other shit that messed up the religion, this became a jihad, the type of war, but it is not the actual meaning of jihad. Jihad has to be started from within, so oppressing that animal instinct in us and becoming, more elevated through our humanity. That's what real jihad is. Yeah, exactly. And as for the terrorist group and organizations such as in my country, which I personally thank IDF for having. Where are you from? Oh, South Lebanon, honey. And a village nearby was just bombed a few hours ago. Not the village, sorry, but a place where they were keeping weapons for those terrorist groups. And I'm so glad that they did that they bombed it, because we don't need those shit anymore around us. I want to live happily, and I want to grow in my business, and I don't want to be in fear of being oppressed by those terrorist organizations anymore. And there are many people who think like me, but they are oppressed and they cannot express themselves. I might be going to jail tomorrow for saying what I said, but I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna fight for my freedom, because freedom is hard.
Where the hell did this guy come from? I love him.
I've always been a follower of you guys, and especially Daniel, because he always brings me inside. I like the positive shock he brings into the conversations, and I love that. And so yeah. So Islam, traditionally, I have a friend of mine, a very very dear friend of mine, who was unfortunately, after childhood and after I went to Dubai for some time, when I came back, he turned out to be a supporter of Hezbollah, and he's a survivor. And so I asked him a few times, why do you feel that Israel is the smaller devil? Because they say Israel is the small devil and America is the big devil. I was like, oh, because they are blah 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 blah. The stereotypical stuff they talk about in the Middle East. And I was like, oh, but did you know that your Khomeini actually never mentioned Israel as being the small devil? So what do you mean? I was like, if this is your belief system, go through his books and you will find out that your very own partner regional partner or an international partner, Russia is actually the smaller devil that he referred to. So how come you don't call Russia the small devil anymore? Is it because they support you and support your belief system? Because and when it comes to politics, things change, or are you totally brainwashed, or do you not know what you believe in? Or are you so confused? And so there's a lot of and this is, of course, a person who belongs to a terrorist organization that is supported by Iran. And all those countries that are launching rockets and attacking Jews are actually supported by Iran. Because in Lebanon, Lebanon is not a Muslim country, by the way. That's what the first thing I wanted to correct. Actually, Lebanon is a mixture of like three main religions in which Judaism is one
but
of
they
the three
executed a lot of
main religions.
Christians.
Exactly, but there's no more Jews in Lebanon. Why? Because after the Israeli-Arab war, when the Arabs lost the war, of course, it was people let their anger out on Israel or on Jewish people. Actually, the Jewish people who lived in Lebanon had passports or had some of them had Lebanese ID even, and their religion sect was an Israelite. It would say on their ID Jewish, and the sect is Israelite. So the word is very familiar. Dude, we had a newspaper in Lebanon before 1947, before even Lebanon had its independence. The newspaper title was The Israeli World. And the word Israeli did not have a negative connotation to people living here. It was a very normal thing. It's like the Kurdish world, for example, or the Assyrian world, whatever it is. So the word didn't really have a negative meaning in people's mind. But post the war, when Arabs started letting their anger and frustration after losing the war on Jewish people, what I ask myself as a Lebanese, a country that depended on Jews drastically in its growing economy to become the pearl of the Middle East. Jews have played an extremely important role in the banking sector, in the export. They brought luxury brands to Lebanon. They brought jewelry making to Lebanon. They have actually revived or established the economy of Lebanon. How did I treat these people after the Israeli war? By bringing in Palestinians with their weapons and giving them support with weapons, and then they turned their weapons onto me and caused me 10 years of civil war. That's how I say thank you to those people who came and found refuge in my country and established an economy, helped me establish it. That's how I say thank you. If you Arabs, if you Lebanese politicians, you want to blame Israel for the problems with the conflicts that's happening with Palestinian terrorist groups, you should ask yourself, what have you done to the Jews who live here? How did you protect them? What did you do to protect those people? Nothing. They've come together as one people. They were united throughout history, and in the past, in the future, and in the future, they'll also be united, just as they were before. And you know what? You should fear them. You don't want to mess with these kind of people because they stood together. That's what I love, and that's what I respect about Jewish people. And that's how I read the Quran now, to see and learn. The Quran has never, ever mentioned anywhere in the Quran that we need to fight Jews at all. It actually tells us that we need to respect and understand the Jews.
The Quran has a few parts or I don't know if it's the Hadith or the Quran.
I can bet you the Quran itself does not. I don't believe in Hadith. I don't think anyone who transferred Hadith from to could have not missed something.
Anyway, Tarek, I need to go to bed. It's late, but I just want to say you're super cool, man, and I hope to see you again because I don't know. The more I actually meet people from this area, like Syrians or Lebanese or Iranians, like the people, not the governments. I mean, the people are not bad people, and it's a shame that these Islamist groups, are basically shitting on all of you and are weaponizing the people. Because yeah, you're right. And they're indoctrinating your people in order to hate your neighbors, and that's not good for anyone.
But I think now there's a bit of a ray of hope for Lebanon. I know that the Lebanese army is now actually starting to demilitarize Hezbollah, at least in one side of the Litani River, and I do hope that they will be able to do their second part. And from what I hear from many Lebanese is that they actually want peace, and I
someone who's living in South Lebanon, not somewhere else in Lebanon.
Well, take care of yourself. Don't speak out too much because we need more people like you alive and not in prison or dead. So be careful and just fight from within, and don't expose yourself and just keep doing the good thing,
Thanks for this update, guys. I mean, you're awesome. I love listening to you. You always give me insights. Thank you.
I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, honey. Bye, Simon. Bye, everyone.
Wait, don't leave yet. Shit.
You went away. Isa, Mark wanted to ask you something before you go.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, quick question. How did you get 44.5 followers? I thought you can only get 4,000. I thought. How did you get?
No, I'm just very loved by everyone.
No doubt. Because your wisdom, I
where
hear.
did Karen go?
Huh?
And Masri, they thought I was gonna close the room or what?
I don't know, Master. As soon as you left, he ran away.
See, that explains all of her followers.
So what I'm getting at is, I can only get 4,000 followers. I tried to follow you.
Really, there's a maximum amount?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because I thought the maximum amount was 4,000.
No, I don't think there's maximum amount. I have friends that have 16,000.
Well, I tried to add you as my friend. I got 4,000.
We are friends.
Oh yeah.
Like let's say you have 4,000 now, and I will add you. And let's see what happens.
I'm gonna add you that now.
Now I added you. It didn't give me an error, but because you have 4,000, it doesn't show you like me. Only when you get like 100 people, you will see 4.1.
Yeah, I just added you, Daniel, to my friends, but it says I can't add any more friends.
Well, then you need to, maybe you have a lot of friends that you're following, but they're not following you. And so you have used more than 4,000. You have used, I don't know, like 8,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, is that how it works? So if they're not following me,
then they don't appear as in the count of your followers.
Guys, first of all, very important conversation. I appreciate it. Very smart. I appreciate you guys.
Come again.
I will. No
Keep
doubt.
coming, and then maybe you'll get a green bean. It's just that I need to trust people because if I don't know them, they might book the room or keep people out or whatever.
Totally.
Where are you from, Mark?
I'm from Connecticut, USA, United States of America, right?
Is that where the fried chicken is from? Oh no, that's Kentucky.
It's like between Boston and New York. I'm like.
That's Kentucky.
Yeah, the tri-state.
We'll get it right, no doubt. We're all gonna get it right.
You guys stay here. I mean, like I'm just gonna go to bed, but Simon is here until 4 a.m. and Daniel until 7 a.m. So.
No, I wanted to fight with jihadists.
Oh my God, Joab? What the hell is Joab doing awake? Joab should be asleep already. It's 1:30 for you.
But it's the weekend.
Yeah, I slept in the afternoon, so I'm not very
Oh my
tired.
God, you sound drunk. Did you go out for drinks, honey?
No, but it is my birthday today.
Oh!
Happy birthday!
Since midnight.
Happy birthday, Joab. Happy birthday.
अरे आपने भी उस
and he would say who made the stars, and they would look at him and not answer him, and it turned out
Why would you choose a 9-year-old or a chicken?
they had no concept of a deity whatsoever. And this is actually I'm sorry, can I no?
Well, you've been talking for quite a while. Is this a conversation? Or is this a monologue by Skeptic?
Nope, I just want to finish my
Is this a conversation? Okay, finish your sentence.
This is a long-running sociological experiment that has actual documentation, not just, this isn't a...
Can you assert this on the grounds of human authority?
Can you rephrase that in an intelligible sense?
Do you assert that there are some people that once they reach a certain level of human neurological, cognitive and neurological development, that there are some people that have no idea of the concept that there's an eternal mind that is God.
No, I think there is no connection. I have never, if this is what I understand you to mean, I don't believe there's any connection between intelligence and a belief in a God.
I'm not talking about intelligence. I don't know where you're getting that from. Is it your position that there are some human beings, once they reach a certain level of neurological, cognitive and neurological development, has nothing to do with intelligence? All right. Well, that's not neurological. That there are some human beings that have never even considered or contemplated and then rejected the notion that there being a supreme being, creator God, but have adopted a materialistic alternative.
I am asserting that there is a tribe in South America that has no concept of a God. They have no concept of a
Well, you don't know that. Can you get into their minds? All you're going by is what they say. Could it be the case that they had at some time or another contemplated that what is absolute and eternal is a mind rather than the matter from their perspective is eternal?
I mean, they could have thought that I had the biggest dick in the world, Gary, but that's not relevant.
All right, so you decided you want to troll. Okay, let's block you.
No, I'm serious.
No, we're done. You're blocked. Bye.
Okay, bye, bitch.
Yeah, bye. Another low-class, low-character, sleazy, deceptive atheist try to have a reasonable conversation, and they just become low-class and low-character. Not surprising for atheists, very common among them. Welcome, comedian. What would you like to say?
I'm running for Congress in Illinois, and I was just wondering, what would your advice be, if you were, or I guess if you were to become the president or a congressman, what would your advice be? What would your actions be? What would your messaging be to your constituents, to the people voting for Darth Dawkins?
Yeah, you're completely off topic. Do you want to broach the topic at the top of the room or not?
Yeah, I can discuss that. So, I think if you view all of this from like a communication theory perspective, in terms of atheist communication, as opposed to even just reading scripture, like I have, a bunch of Psalms in my hand from, 3x5 note cards with passages from Psalms and all.
Dude, you're just rambling at this point. Are you an atheist?
No, I'm a Baptist Christian.
Okay, so you're rambling at this point. Do you want to make a substantive statement about the topic or not?
Yeah, it's an all or nothing statement. I mean, it might mean something different to a Catholic and a Protestant or an evangelical, but I mean, the Christian worldview ultimately is the final summation of philosophy, of history, of theology, of God. So if you reject that worldview, you are essentially in opposition to the most powerful force in the universe, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Anyone else in the audience, if you want to broach the topic, you're welcome to come up.
That's the biggest propagandist, man. He took it.
So, as usual, whether I stream on, if I go on Discord or TikTok or here, no intelligent atheist opposition. They're all cowardly. They only like to pick on low-hanging fruit. Does anybody know how, I see you can kick people from the room, but how do you move people back to the audience? Is there an option for that?
Yeah, you click on the profile and then hit put to audience. But maybe it's a public view, I don't know. public room, maybe you have to kick him from the room.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it doesn't allow you to do that for a public room. I guess they have to self-remove.
I want to get a screenshot of this history.
So, the more I listen to atheists year by year, the more I'm convinced that what the Bible says is true. They're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. Like I was trying to say with that previous guy, the fact that they self-report that they have no concept of God doesn't mean they don't have a concept of God. It means they chose not to retain it and that they're adopting a kind of either an atomistic or a materialistic view. And his claim that there are some people that don't have any concept of God whatsoever, he's making that statement on the grounds of human authority, whereas God has revealed that he has made all men to know that he exists, of course, assuming that you're not neurologically impaired, brain damaged, or a registered Democrat. So he's claiming by human authority that some people don't know of God. Well, God says otherwise.
Yeah, but if they're not really willing to read the word or even attempt comprehension, I mean, they're essentially just spam trolls, and they're creating dopamine.
Well, we saw that he couldn't even last a few minutes in here without becoming obscene, rude, and attempting to antagonize me. So it's another common trait of online atheists. Yet these are the very same people who claim that they're in hot pursuit of truth, reason, things like that, which is laughable. I even try to go on atheist streams on TikTok, and they even get triggered and go into panic mode, saying that they're not going to let me up. You have complete powers of mods. What are you afraid of? Well, we know, because they realize that their ordinary atheist cliches and slogans aren't going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I've come to the conclusion that I'd like to automate my communication here on this app, and actually not engage, a lot of people or listen to what a lot of people say, because it's just a total waste of my time. So, I mean, but I believe in essentially publishing people in the sense that I'm like a producer, recording and distributing, and I don't really care what people have to say because I don't want to listen to it. But I would prefer to just, retransmit, respam their nonsense, because apparently their hypnosis works. People are willing to engage with them, as you demonstrated.
By the way, if there's anybody in the audience who would like to broach the topic, you're welcome to come up. You have to invite yourself up. Yeah, they're an irrational bunch, and a lot of low information people on TikTok, as well as Discord, and most of them have emotional problems. A lot of them have moral failures, and this is why they don't want God to exist. Almost every single one of them, when I talk with them, they'll say stupid crap like, I'll say, why doesn't God exist? And they'll say, oh, well, there's no evidence for God. Well, first of all, that's not even a sustainable claim. Number two, it's a non sequitur. What's the logical entailment from the claim to God doesn't exist? Well, the answer is nothing. It just goes to show you, how pathetic they are in their reasoning. They got nothing. They just repeat the same mantra. There's no evidence for God. There's no evidence for God. So God doesn't exist because you invoke that you have a psychological state that's absent a positive belief? How does that follow?
Well, I don't spend much time with gay men. But I have observed gay men on this app have
Yeah,
conversations.
dude, this is, you keep on going off topic. I hate faggots.
I'm just saying that there are prurient people on this app that are other social problems.
You're done. I'm blocking you too.
What? Am I not accurately describing that? He was just talking to a gay guy.
Yeah, just write it down. Oh, comedian, how are you, comedian?
Hey, have you heard the one about the Palestinian astronaut?
What is a Palestinian astronaut?
He got back from Mars on a Doge space Starlink spaceship, and he went back to the shawarma stand in Gaza. It wasn't there anymore. But what I'm trying to say is, if you think you know where Palestinians came from, I would love to hear it.
You're an Are you enjoying from house to house?
Actually, yes, because it just makes my life easier where I don't have to spend time going phone to phone to phone to phone to get back into a room under a burner.
I think it's this entire class was made around you specifically, and I think that they kind of looked at you and like, okay, how can we make this dude pay?
Now the question is the following, because you gotta pay $5, okay, $50 a year per account. He has got like 40 phones. Can you afford 40 times?
No, all I need is one account, and that means that I have already created a new burner account, which is always set to anonymous. So that means
that one is never blocked by anyone because
right.
That would be a
Oh, you cannot block them, right? Like
you can't block it.
You can't block them. So, for example, if I have Simon blocked, he cannot come into my rooms as anonymous because he will not see them.
Now you have like an anonymous person here, right?
Yeah, I have a new burner.
Yeah, but they're not logged by us, and we cannot.
Exactly.
You cannot
kick them out either.
Unless I make it public.
Into a room
exactly.
With a new account, he can do whatever he wants.
But the thing is that he has been blocked by so many people, you know, that everyone is tracing his accounts. But what he's saying is he got a new burner that is not blocked by anyone, and it's set to anonymous permanently.
Exactly. Well, they broke the system. I didn't break it. But the funnest part for me is people who kick me, knowing how incredibly stupid it is to get emotional about me now, because now you know that even if you kick me, I can be right back in. And so, like, your kick means nothing, you know? It means nothing anymore. But what's interesting to me is the person who kicks me, you know, how I'm actually in their mind and how I'm living rent-free, and the fact that they hate me and want me out of there, even though they know that I'm in an anonymous account, and thus they've accomplished nothing. But it's also, you know, I speak to people, you know, and so I have a relationship with people. But the fact that I still get kicked and I can come back in an anonymous, it becomes a me problem. I'm the schmuck wasting my time.
Yeah, I was talking with Roger about this, and he's like, oh my god,
yeah, exactly.
And they were talking about it. I'm like, well, I don't care, you know, if anonymous people come into my room because in the end, I have never cared, and I'm not gonna start caring right now. I don't care if Edmund is there or if people are screaming me or whatever. I'm gonna say exactly the same things, right? And they're like, yeah, but this is not fair. And so I could see that the people that are very sensitive to it, they are the ones that are gonna control really hard. The ones that really have an obsession for people that have control issues, you know, authoritarian in the rooms. They're gonna be the ones that are gonna suffer with this a lot. And I was thinking about Ben Mandelson, you know, because he's got this leftist room where he kicks out everyone that brings the word Trump. And so now it's like we can all get into his rooms and start playing, you know, like putting emojis and the gifs, you know, with Trump, and he cannot do anything about it. He'll go crazy, I know, because everyone is so sensitive in those stages. It's gonna be amazing.
Like if I was a troll, I would definitely pay those $5.
Yeah, see, he will kick new burner accounts. There are people on this app that are so paranoid, they will kick a party hat with no real friends, and it's like some girl in Texas, you know. So that's kind of the interesting aspect about this, that it does create one. It's pathetic though, because it's all spam. So it's not.
Someone demonstrated in the audience.
They're taking our ideas on board. Yeah, let's do it together. But we'll have to wait now because they haven't rolled it out in Europe yet.
What's interesting is
So
I have
imagine, it's
people.
like we can go to Amir's room, you know, all with Israelis flags, and just to bother them there, like 40
Yeah,
of us.
that's cool that I can go into
When
Amir's
I go
room.
to Emil's house, I can be in the audience, but they can talk about me for an hour. Literally, they talk about me, and I write in the chat, like, guys, like, move on, like, I'm just listening, like.
I don't think that it will do too much to the Amir's rooms, but the people that are super sensitive and need to have control of the rooms, like Ben, that would be hilarious. You know, I think it will drive him crazy.
The truth is they don't really care. They don't really care. They're just spammers. And the fact is, if they kick somebody from the room, it just gives them a dopamine, boost. It's like a video game. It's literally like Super Mario Brothers.
And especially knowing, because it's like, how can we know if it's Edmund in the room? I'm like, you can't. You can't.
You can't.
So there must be a way that we can prevent him from streaming to us. I'm like, come on, really? Are you gonna worry about it?
You might be recorded right now. Who knows?
Well, one of my YouTubes is actually blowing up, and I'm getting like consistently 15,000 live streams, when I'm on Clown House. So
dude? Like,
it's just the algorithm.
In our lives.
I don't know because
You have so many phones. Okay, can't you invest like in a microphone also?
this phone I'm surprised isn't good. It's a fucking high quality, expensive phone.
No, but this one is good.
Oh, okay.
Really, for me, sounds like.
Can you interrupt Daniel when he's talking to see if I can hear?
When I'm muffled.
Yeah, we can talk at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's just.
Sound muffled. Sound muffled.
Yeah, I don't know why his phone sounds like
Anyways,
that when he talks.
what I've learned is I don't want to talk. I just want to record. And, occasionally I like to have conversations, but real discipline would be not having a conversation on this app. It would just be recording it. Because it's all spam.
Like talking to you. You're funny. I mean, sometimes you're so fucking annoying, like today, that I have to kick you out of the room, but normally you're funny. I like you.
Yeah, I mean, I like trying to be funny and be experimental with comedy and imitations. I mean, I'm an actor. I was in Annie. Many people don't know this, but I played Franklin Delano Roosevelt in my 8th grade play, Annie.
Eleanor Roosevelt?
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I sang the song Tomorrow.
Did you know, Daniel, one time, sometimes I just go to Edmund's rooms, right? Like, I don't know, I just like to spend time with him there and just talk about stuff. And one day I go into one room.
These rooms are just him streaming other rooms.
No, just him, but he's there, and so sometimes I just have a chat with him. And so I went there, and he was streaming something, but it was not Clubhouse. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? He was streaming a conversation of his mom and his sister to Clubhouse. It's so crazy. And he was having this conference call with his mom and his sister, and he was streaming that everywhere in Clubhouse.
But to himself, how many people were in the room?
No, all the rooms he had open, and Simon and I were there listening to a conversation with his mom and his sister. Like, this man doesn't know boundaries.
Yeah, but I mean that's just including them in the game. Like I was talking to my mom the other day, and Concrete listened to the whole conversation for like 10 minutes, and that's the thing is you realize that even your parents, it's all spam. I mean, my mom essentially wants to talk to me on the phone in the same way that I have a conversation here. Like she just wants the conversation and the dopamine creation and the talk therapy aspect of it, and that's what happens a lot when I talk to my mom. I mean, she just wants to get her dopamine off.
Come from a big line of trolls, I understand.
Yeah, and if you think... No, my mom is definitely a troll type person. And she's got a horribly obnoxious voice. and you will not escape her eye. You know, if you overquote her on a contract or a bid or something, like you'll just watch her eye open up and say, "No way, no way."
How old is she?
She smokes.
No, I'm just saying she's got a very nasally Chicago accent. She can be, you know, really annoying.
How old is she?
71.
Oh, okay. She's like my mom. My mom is 72.
Yeah, that German girl that I was dating who did her master's in Switzerland, she just moved back to Germany today.
Oh yeah, what happened to her? That was just last week.
Yeah, it was like a three-week love affair, and then I helped her box up all her stuff, put her in it, and yeah, sent her back to Germany. Yeah, I helped pack her box. It was nice.
Wow, Pepe, ew.
That sounds kinky.
What do you mean, ew? That's like literally people having sex. Ew.
With your mama, dude. That's ew.
You know, every Palestinian has come out of the vagina of a Palestinian woman.
I'm sorry, that Muslim guy just like got to me earlier.
Which one?
Whoever the guy was, he started yelling at me. I didn't like that one.
Who was yelling at you?
Masri. Because he was Masri is really sensitive when you insult Islam. Like many Muslims.
He was insulting fucking Christianity. It's like, and so that makes sense, you know, about Jesus. And it's like, really, do you want me to talk about your fucking prophet? And he's like, you motherfucker. I mean, fuck
yeah. I didn't say that they have a problem with insulting religion. They have a problem with insulting Islam.
Where did she say that? And you can't miss it. You can be seen.
Let her, I quote.
Yeah, you compared
Let that psychotic bitch come
like
forward and
they
swear
start talking about
she could be
stuff like that.
Do you remember me on this app when I used to go at Muslims? Do you remember me on this app when I used to go at Muslims really hard? I used to say way worse shit.
What is this? Is this a Christian
Don't
be smart. Either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it? You're really quite something. You are type, but you're really quite nothing. Right? You're not a Christian.
Hello there, I'm Dr. Jordan Peterson. I'm a clinical psychologist, professor emeritus at the University of Toronto, an author, podcaster, public speaker. Today I'm surrounded by 20...
They I don't know, they must have some kink with black people because they went into these black rooms and they were bashed and completely like violated, you know?
That happens all the time. That's because they take it. Like they were like people like me, I don't dish it back to them, and so they actually respect me for because I dish it back. And you know, it's just like.
But they thought that they could be seen as nice, you know, like, oh yeah, well maybe they would be the good white women that they will accept, and they would bash them like.
Did you hear what happened to Anne in the last week or so?
No, I haven't.
So there's this girl or woman named Miss. She go by Mahalo, and she's pretty well known on the black side of the app. Long story short, this is like the third that I know of, like big name person on the app that she was living with, and so this last one, I guess she was. The guy's name is Detroit, and Ann lives in Detroit. And so she ended up getting a hold of Ann and saying, hey, you know, can I have a place to stay? I'm like in an abusive relationship, yada, yada. And, yeah, I guess, like, she started talking shit. I don't know what exactly. Something happened in their in the house. And I don't know if Ann eventually asked her to leave. And she was like...
So she accepted her.
Yeah, so Ann let her, but then she was like, you know, like I guess kind of taking advantage of her or something. And then you have, long story short, this girl ended up like running her mouth about Ann, saying, oh, she's dirty, she doesn't wash her dishes. And she ended up like, so Ann's dad just died recently.
Yeah, like a
And
few months ago. Yeah.
and she ended up like posting a PTR of like his obituary and his photos and stuff that she took from the house, or pictures of. It's just really rotten. But then, so like the black side of the app is like a bunch of half of them are like dogging on Anne because of this, making fun of her, and then there's some black people standing up for her. But it's pretty gross.
What is it, like a full-time job or something for these people? Is it a full-time job for Anne or something? Like how long is she gonna continue to allow herself to get abused by people here? Like how pathetic can you be?
But that's why you just tell them straight up.
She tried to be good, I guess, but the thing is that it's just dumb. And it's not dumb because it's Anne, not dumb because it's the specific person. So it's dumb to get someone in your house, someone that you don't know. And like, how do you do that? Especially when it's in a social area. You're exposing yourself, you're exposing your daughter, like, you need to protect yourself. You cannot just, like, be like a child, like you need to be an adult and think of the consequences. Thank God it's just that happened. Imagine, I mean, like she can, I don't know, like get people that can rob her or hurt her or do something bad to her. Like she needs to take care of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust them, especially with the number of death threats I had on here.
Can I give you a quote from Hamas leader Osama Hamdan and tell me what you think of it?
Which leader? Is he still alive?
Yes, he's not in Gaza. He's fat and comfortable. So he says, we expect our great people to thwart the method of receiving aid today, just as they thwarted it yesterday. We trust that our people will endure hunger and not extend their hands to the occupier asking for aid.
Wow. That says a lot about the love that they have for their people, especially if he is a fat pig.
No, they shouldn't take aid. That also has like Hebrew Zionist letter on it and like, no.
Yeah, we expect it from our people to endure this suffering in the name of
It's insane.
Honestly, I think
can you send me that on Telegram? Sorry, can you send me that on Telegram for now?
If that whole region of the world no longer existed, it would be a much better place. The whole fucking world.
No, I mean, it's not about not existing, it's just about being civilized, like, I mean,
that's what I'm saying, they're so uncivilized.
Gazans could be living an amazing life if they stop fighting. You cannot fight forever. What?
I would say if Islam didn't exist.
Yeah, we would agree on that.
Because the Jews are so small in number, I feel like it's irrelevant. And the Christians, their book is generally pretty tame and mild. All the past horrific things they've done had nothing to do with like doctrine.
Yeah, but have you heard they control the world, so it doesn't matter if they're just two.
They don't control the world. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think if neither Israel or the rest of the Middle East, like literally just never came into existence, it would just be a lot more peaceful.
Well, I'm gonna
Actually, you are wrong, Pepe, because
civilization comes from.
No, it doesn't.
They control my house, Pepe.
Like the rules of like humanitarian comes from us. If you like, you're so wrong, and I think that you are just like, oh, it's too noisy. But basically, the fight that is happening right now is between morality and immorality.
I didn't say like if the Jews didn't exist. I was saying like if Israel didn't exist, the whole like that whole fucking region, these people living next to each other.
Like you. Let's get next time.
Like everybody. Like all of these people in that region don't get along.
No, it's not that we don't get along. We do get along because in Israel we have like 25% Muslims and it's okay. The problem is not us not getting along. It's about that there is an indoctrination within the Islam against Jews. That is the reality. And by the way, look at your own
fucking state. I mean, look how many incidents you have there with anti-Semitism. I mean, just last week they literally murdered like 2 Israelis. The number of anti-Semitic attacks in the United States is the highest and growing the fastest from the entire world. So the problem is not Israel. The problem is this ideology, and it's spreading. There's like a virus. The world is right now sick. And I have to be honest, this anti-Semitic disease is not our responsibility to cure. It's a society problem, not the Jewish problem.
I'm honestly surprised there haven't been more people killed. I mean, I'm being serious. Like,
are you working in a supermarket?
I'm checking out. If you were to look at, like when you did have attacks on synagogues and shit, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, like anti-Semitism wasn't even like close to as popular as it is now. But
right now it's crazy.
But now it's like mainstream.
Now it's crazy, and the fact that people feel that they can attack Jews in the open, or they can attack anyone, right, just because of their religion. Like, I was watching the news that a couple of days ago there was this kind of like concert, like Christian concert or whatever, and the LGBTQ and trans people and whatever, they disrupted the concert, saying that they were provoking, that this is like far-right movement. It was a Christian concert, and people were there, like in a park that they hired, They were having their, exactly. And so in the same way, like, this is outrageous, like, it can't be that you cannot practice your faith, or you cannot, you have to be threatened physically, for your own preferences. This cannot happen to Christians or Jews or anyone. And it should be stopped, whoever it is. So it can't be that because you're a Jew you cannot go to a synagogue, or that you're gonna get killed because you go to the Jewish museum, like this couple. They were Jewish, or were they? Yeah, they were Jewish.
One of them. One of them was Christian.
They all had the Christian guy had Jewish ancestry, but
in America, this is happening in the U.S. for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but terrorism has always happened. Like, I'm gonna say, that's why I said, like, I actually think it's actually almost a miracle only 2 people have been killed.
This is beyond terrorism. This is common people feeling empowered to go and attack someone and kill someone.
He's not a common person, though. That guy was a radical.
Well,
no, it's being radicalized on social media.
But he was a member of like the Socialist Party of I forget which one, but he was involved in protests and stuff.
Yeah, but he's not acting on behalf of ISIS. He's
acting on behalf of a national domestic terrorist organization. They are communists and socialists. They're organized.
No. It's not an organization. People are being indoctrinated, and that is the problem. It's not like an organization that sent this guy to do this. He was like sitting at home on his Twitter feed, on his TikTok feed, getting enraged, and then he just took a gun and did it. And this is actually, it's also happening in Israel.
Those are the people who wants to control.
It's really, you don't have intelligence on them. You don't know where they're coming from. It's not like it's an organization that is doing it. It's individuals. That is a problem.
Like
that is a problem. Yeah, exactly. And this is a problem of abusing this free speech and all those platforms that, you can say whatever you want about whatever you want, and there are no consequences, and there's no responsibility, and there's no accountability. And then someone goes and does something. It's like, oh, he's a loner. He's a crazy. No, he's not.
But you're making what you're citing is what they would call stochastic terrorism, and this was widely weaponized against right wingers by the left. If we were to point out anything about race, for example, they would say, "Oh, well, do you know that people with your rhetoric end up going into schools and shooting people, or black churches and killing people?" And it's kind of like a way to like silence your opponent. Now, I do think that you may not agree with a lot of their rhetoric, but even somebody like me who's not, I never really had a issue with Jews. I never had a problem, a real issue with Israel. I've always thought the Jewish or Israeli lobby here was obnoxious. I always thought they over weaponized the term anti-Semitic. And I think a lot of us are always like, it's about time that like they can kind of get treated like the rest of us. Is it, you know? It was always off limits to target Jews, but now it is. It's like, oh, they were going after white people, and white people have been going after black people. Now you guys, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you want to be reasonable, but you realize they're not going to be reasonable with you. That's, you know, that's how it happens.
I'm not sure I followed your line of thought.
In other words, if I was to, you know, it may not be in your timeline, like on social media, because you probably don't care about this stuff, but if you were to look at the shit that black people in particular will say about white people, it's like, it's violent, it's like very dehumanizing. Not that I care what they think, but it's like we're used to dealing with that, and it's obnoxious. And they're used to us demonizing or dehumanizing them as well. Jews, I do think you guys had like a protected status where probably the one thing that would be the worst than saying the N-word is kike. Like that will literally get you deplatformed, lose your job, you'll be forever branded a bigot. Saying anything.
Hey, I'm live streaming over here. Can't you just say the K word?
Not anymore. Now you can say whatever you want.
Not anymore.
With no consequences.
Well,
that's just the thing. It became legitimate to attack Jews, and it's not just like you talked about blacks against whites. You know, I'm talking about like governments. I'm talking about UN people that are spreading like blood libels. Like there was like last week. I don't remember who is this UN high whatever commissioner of bullshit something said within 48 hours 18,000 babies will die of starvation in Gaza, and the entire media was outraged about it. You know, nothing happened.
But I think I talk to people that are like I was last night, to people that are Christian. You know, they're not that religious, but you know, they're kind of Christian like me. One of them's a left winger. Or not left winger, I'd say liberal. And so we were talking yesterday that none of us were Muslim or Jewish or anything. Now, all right. So now, here's what I see as kind of the problem. This is what at least as I've seen it. What you see right now is people protesting the war, and they're saying you guys are genocide and you guys are bad. Now, I know that a lot of Israelis are like, well, I don't get it. That's they're only doing it to us. Well, if you look back, like when I was in college, the invasion of Afghanistan and the invasion of Iraq, we had protests at universities. They were saying you guys are killing children, you're starving children, you guys are genocidal.
Against another nation of people. And by the way, I don't think that anyone was attacking like Americans in colleges or like murdering people. It's not the same way. In Israel, we have protesters against this. We are allowed to. The protesters are local against Jews. Nothing like what you're talking about. Nothing.
I think that it depends on which group. I think you get the people that have been propagandized and the useful idiots for the Muslim pro-Palestine people. We know what the Muslim pro-Palestine people were. But then you do have like the genuine left-wing people that do think it's like horrific what they're seeing, and these are the same people that protested during our wars. Now, I would say this, and this is where it becomes very tricky. There's a lot of things that we are seeing, okay, that even amongst the right in America, we find to be pretty fucking disgusting about what's happening to the Palestinians. With that being said, it's hard for us even to gauge, are they doing the right thing? Have they gone too far? Is this appropriate? It's like, how do you, I and many others that don't really, yes, you could say like we don't like what we're seeing, but it's really hard to say what can they do when you look at the totality of circumstances. Maybe you guys did go too far. Maybe you didn't go far enough. I don't fucking know. Like, I'm not somebody who can really give that answer, but it does look ugly, and there's going to be people that protest it.
Yeah, but first of all, they are not protecting to stop the war. They are not protesting to release hostages. They are not protesting against Hamas. There's not a single protest against Hamas, which is a terrorist organization that is committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, and violates every fucking law in the book, written by God or written by men. Not a single person is going out on the streets of New York or Washington and protesting against Hamas. Not a single person. Make it make sense. Is that morality? Is that humanity? Is this justice? Is this anything?
Well, I think on October
My name
7th,
is
we
Haim,
saw
and
the
I
outrage
am too
and the
busy
disgust
with my work to
by,
lie.
No, I did not. Actually, do you know when the protest against Israel started?
The
Do you know
next
when the
day,
protest
but that
against
was mainly by
Exactly.
the Muslims, particularly in Europe, where they have a high population. You weren't really seeing the protests were quite a bit smaller, at least the ones that started the next day, because those were only Muslims. We have a small Muslim population here. But yet the Muslims didn't even apologize. They didn't.
Same shit.
Yeah, when he won the first time, you remember the first time Trump won the election?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. And devastated.
Right.
Right. With the girls that's yelling, no!
Yeah, crazy bitch. That picture of the crazy bitch.
So it's the same here in Israel. Every time there's something good, Bibi is doing something good. That's how they react. Every time. When he won, the next day they went to demonstrate because of that. Because he won the last time. That's the only reason why I like Bibi. He makes them suffer.
So
Go out of the.
So it's good to know that the Jews out over there, Harry, are the same as the Jews over here. Fucking retarded.
The liberals, yes. The retards, yeah. The libtards. How do you call them?
Yeah, libtards.
Libtards.
It's not
Liberalism, or the leftist mentality, like I've been saying, is a poison.
It's not exactly liberalism as you have, because in Israel, I consider myself as a liberal. Because I'm not orthodox, I'm not conservative, I'm not going to.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that you're a liberal either. I would say you're a little bit more. You're a centrist. That's what you would be. Yeah, you would be considered a centrist.
Yeah, I support the gay community, but I'm not gay. You know, I support.
Right.
I don't go to march with them, but I do support their existence.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, and they need to get full rights like everyone. They need to suffer like us. They need to get married.
They need to suffer like us.
Yeah.
Fucking guy. Why they want to marry you? You want to get married? Then suffer like the rest of us.
No, in Israel, gays can't get married.
They can't?
No.
Yeah.
They have to go out to.
Oh, yeah. Sign the requisition. Sign the. You're not aware.
Of course not, because it's religious.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my gay brother got married in Israel, but he didn't. Obviously, he wasn't. The rabbi wasn't there. Wasn't like it wasn't recognized by the government.
You know what my beliefs are when it comes to Jewish people?
Yehud, yes, but tell me what the other word is.
I want them all on the Jewish 100%. I want to put them.
Yehud just means Jew.
Jew. Oh, so what does Jewry mean?
Again, that's a European
Jewish
term.
people. No, it's the Jewish people.
Yeah, again,
it's like saying you're the Muslim. That's like saying you're the Muslim.
This is so stupid here, right?
How is
because
you said I was a liar. You claimed I was a liar. It's literally
Everyone is wrong and happy if you're covering the
If you
bills.
understand how language works, right? When I'm saying the Europeans use the term Jewry, right? I don't care that it means that Jewry, that specific word, is only to the European countries, right? The way the Arabic people go ahead and describe Jewish people, they use Yahud, Yahudin, all that stuff. None of that translates strictly back to Jewry. That's not how that works, right? They go ahead and give it respects to a historical context on how the Jews call themselves.
right?
Yes.
Now,
Those
if
are my
you're going ahead and
right. But
using
Sam, let me just
European
answer you
terms,
because you're lying.
no, stop here.
English is a European language, yes or no?
English is not, it is a European language, but it's not an Arabic language, right?
So how an Arabic word to a European language? For example, if the Quran was translated into English, is it the wrong
You're making
message?
my point for me. Thank you for making my point.
If I take an article from Arabic and I translate it into English, the news article, is this not what the Arabic is actually trying to relay? I don't understand you. Yehud means Jew. If you're going to translate the word Yehud in a common understanding, if me and you understood Arabic and English, Yehud is a Jew. The same thing as if I told you in English, a Jew. Jewry is the Jewish people, the collective of all of the scattered tribes. Because you never read the Bible. I'll tell you, the Bible says they'll be scattered.
I've read it several times, but
So
again,
you know the scattered across
you
all
answered my
nations.
point, and you even admitted, right? Not a single word goes back to the specific word of Jewry. Yes, Yehudim goes ahead and talks about the people itself, right? But it does not translate specifically to that English word. That is something that you won't find.
It's not what I specific. No, it's not. It's
you
not.
went ahead and agreed with me on that, right?
Bro,
So you have to understand when you lie, it makes you look stupid.
It doesn't make me. You're literally saying Jews and Jewry have no connection when Jew is literally the transliteration.
This guy does not understand simple English.
What does Yehud mean? You're not making any sense.
He's making.
Go in the chat. Go in the chat and scroll up a little bit.
Tell me your question, Alpha. Go. Tell me your question.
So you believe in Hashem and the power of prayers and the Torah and all that stuff? You're real. Okay. Would you pray to the Hashem to destroy the oppressors, the murderers, and the unjust rulers on the land?
That's Bekataminim, yeah.
Whoever they meet, maybe.
Yeah, Bekataminim, yeah. If you know who that actually was, yeah.
Do it for us, okay?
Do I have to pray for the oppressors?
No, pray against the oppressors. Pray Hashem.
I mean, but Hashminim allowed to give us.
No, English, buddy.
Why do I have to pray in
We
English?
can understand and know that you actually pray.
May the wicked and evil kingdom be destroyed, and all those who oppress the truth and pervert justiceness be humbled, and may the kingdom of David come upon the land, and they all know God and prayers means so. That's what the prayers means. You want to talk to me about Judaism?
No, I just wanted you to pray. That's all.
Okay, so I just prayed for you.
So I just got
Thank you for praying for us.
Thank you.
I just got you some hasanat, man.
I just want to say one thing, Chucky. I didn't mean that you don't have an actual lineage. I don't know you. But I would say one thing. You should never be embarrassed of your heritage. I mean, you should never be embarrassed of your heritage, Chucky. Never. Because other people make you go against your people, you should stand firm.
It's not your own man.
You don't know what you're talking about.
The fact that you pray doesn't, take away that you're fucking dumb and ignorant.
You could say what you want. I have history to prove it. You're just trying to prove a genocide. You want to kill all of us. Yes, Alpha. You know. Alpha, you're not stupid, Alpha. You know what you're trying to do. You want to end us. You want to end the last of
Running a
us.
genocide and committing a genocide are two very different things.
So Mike, if what
I
you're
mean, you
saying
couldn't understand that Wikipedia is not a viable source, so.
if what you're saying is true, yeah, Mike, if we're gonna look just at October 7th, they could have just went in and randomly started killing everybody, right?
They did that and recorded it, by the way.
No,
thousands of people showing up.
I'm gonna tell you, yeah, Mike. So what they did was wrong, but the fact that you guys had a party running 5 minutes away from a military base and right across of a border from the people that you call terrorists is something that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so the fact that you had houses 2 minutes away from where you sent the bombs and stuff, it's your fault. It's your fault the people were bombed. It's the same logic. It's the same logic. So you're going to defend shooting 1,000 people at a party. It's not. I'm not triggered. Your logic is stupid.
People at that party that were killed.
Okay, there was 200 people at the party, and there was 200 people 2 minutes away from where you shot the rockets in Gaza. So you're a Jahesh. You're a Fultan. You're a Jahesh and you're a Fultan. Kasammak. Listen, you cannot justify. You cannot justify because they were at a party. They were at a
party. You're walking for 2 minutes away. Same thing. It's the same. No, I'm not triggered. I'm telling you the same thing. Your children in Gaza, I'm not having a heart attack. Your children in Gaza are 2 minutes away. Same thing. Same thing. No. Alpha, same thing. Your children are 2 minutes away. Same argument. Your children are 2 minutes away. You want to justify shooting my people in the back of their heads? No problem. Your children are 2 minutes away. Your children are 2 minutes away. Same argument. Either you want to be a man, as an individual, yo, bro, if you want to be a job, if you want to be a man, you can be a man. Otherwise, I'm not going to argue.
I'm not arguing with you,
Bro, what do you want me to understand? You literally just said they were 5 minutes away from a military base that gave Hamas the right to shoot them in the back of their head?
So what I'm saying is that their plan went sideways, you know? And they also came out and said it did go sideways, and that wasn't the plan, right? They said that. But why the fuck would you guys have a party 5 minutes away from a fucking military base?
Why would you have buildings 2 minutes away from where you should rock?
5 minutes away from an open
In Gaza
air
City.
prison.
Next to Al Sharif, I moved the party the night before. And you threw a party as the women that were raped, giving out candy, screaming Allah Akbar.
Your Jersey accent is disgusting.
I got a Jersey accent, you dumb.
Yeah, it's a Jersey accent. It's disgusting.
I don't like it. You guys attack me, you attack me, but never when I say it.
He's crying, he's about to cry. Are you about to cry?
No, I'm not about to cry. So you're okay if they're 5 minutes away from a military base, but when your house is 2 minutes away from where you shoot rockets, it's no problem. Don't attack.
You're claiming that they want to kill all your people. They had the option to kill all your people, but
You never had the option. If you had the option, you would have jumped on it. We messed you up.
The option was there.
Never had the option.
Oh yeah.
What happened in 48?
No, hold on.
Are you honest?
The option.
Are you honest? What happened in 48?
Okay, let me tell you where the option was. The option was when October 7th.
What the fuck are you?
I want to say their fucking name.
Oh shit. Girlfriends are back.
Oh, my ex is here again? Fucking bitch.
Your exes from... Wait, is that Texas from your exes?
Nah, I don't have any exes in Texas. I killed those. They're dead.
Oh, that's something I know. You don't remember file a big ticket.
Perhaps if you ever came over to my house and my wife, well,
Oh wow. Oh wow. Moving is exhausting.
You do others. I mean, at the end, obviously, there is
this. Hello, they went city to city, shot people, butchered people for hours. I don't think you understand. Hello, you're gonna let me talk? I let you talk, Edward.
They had 6 hours.
They had 6 hours and they injured 3,000 people and shot 1,200 people to death.
So they couldn't kill.
Okay, so that's already 5,000 people that they went through city by city. At 6 a.m. in the morning. Hello. No, 5,000 people they encountered by 6 a.m. in the morning. They had 40 minutes to do everything. Hello.
They had total control. Wait.
5 hours. Wait, it wasn't 6 hours. It was like 3.5 hours. They were in the area.
No, Israel says over 6 hours.
No. They were in the Gaza border. They breached the French. They were in the Gaza border
they
for
had
3.5 hours. They went city to city or local kibbutz. Okay, no problem. We'll disagree on the facts.
This is Israel saying this. And you're disagreeing with your own country.
I'm talking about the people that are in the army. You think we don't speak to
No, okay, I'm saying to you, okay,
no problem.
6 hours, they had control over that area. Okay.
We're there for 6 hours.
So,
have it on video.
You kill everybody? You kill everybody.
They went city by city trying to kill as many as they
Trying
can.
to, why didn't they?
They got shot down. Half of them were killed in the land.
No, they had control.
They went back.
No, they didn't.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
The military was not there.
It's on video. It's on video. You could like literally deny what is on video.
So they wanted to take hostages, yeah, Jahash. Why would they kill them?
ما تجحش.
Why would they kill them?
ليش بحكي عربي هذا؟
I don't know, where are you from, Mike? Where are you from?
I'm from China.
He's from Bangladesh.
Yes, I'm from Bangladesh, exactly.
He's a Jew man from Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, exactly. Yeah.
Listen, yeah, Jahash. So Hamas wanted, Hamas wanted hostages, right? Why would they kill them?
What?
If Hamas wanted hostages on October 7th, why would they go into cities?
The same reason why, because they got their leader, the one that got mastermind. You do prison swaps. You Muslims, you justify getting 1,000 prisoners free for one. Shabak.
How would
You're a child, bro? What?
How would killing the people help them?
Who's killing the people? Maybe you should go tell. Why don't you tell the people in Palestine? Maybe. I'm answering you. I'm answering you. No. I'm answering you. I'm answering you. You don't let me talk. Okay. Their goal was to kill as many people possible. You can deny it all you want. That's what they said they were gonna do.
They wanted to kill people and go back.
That's what they said they were gonna do. You're saying something different. They said it.
You're not making sense.
You fucking idiot, man. Shut the fuck up.
What do you mean I make no sense? They said it. They said it.
That's not what they said.
They said it. Bro, what are you talking about? This is from their mouth. They said it.
What is it?
Yo, bro. Bro, you have no mind or what, bro? They said it themselves. They said it.
By the way, the people that thought like this guy, wallahi, they called them slumlords in Jersey.
You told me what?
Yes, guys. One second.
Get mad. It's our land.
Hold on a second. Mike, 1 second. I think Mike is over the age of 26. I think his brain is fully developed. I don't know if it is. Are you over the age of 26?
The funny fact, just keep making fun of me, but you can't answer
I'm not even laughing. I'm thinking about if you're under the age of 26 or 23.
Right? Israelis.
26, we're dealing with a kid.
Yes, you can answer one thing. You call me a kid. It says a lot to have much of it.
Are you a kid, Mike?
It says a lot. You can't answer one thing. You deny that you came in 48. You have shame. Because you have shame. You Arabs have shame. You Arabs have shame. You Arabs are women. You Arabs are women. You have shame. Because you have shame. Yes, you have shame.